Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of Simply Fitness and Nutrition with me, Mark. And in this episode, we're going to cover nutrition myths. And a few of these things I've actually covered in questions because they are really, really common in fitness and nutrition. So apologies if you have listened to them Q&As where I've answered a couple of these questions, but I think they come up so often that it'd be good just to cover them again within this episode. So let's get started then. So the first nutrition myth is eating after a certain time causes weight gain. Now, there's going to be a running theme today. It's going to be depends is going to be an answer to a lot of things. Now, eating after a certain time can cause weight gain if that meal or snack or whatever you're eating takes you above your calorie maintenance level, which pushes you into calorie surplus and you'll gain weight. Now, the time of the day has no relevance to it whatsoever. So that's why it's on the nutrition myth. The time doesn't matter, it's the amount of calories over that day that causes you to gain weight. So, for example, if you're going to have a meal and your meal is at 6 p.m. and it's 600 calories, and over that full day you are still within a calorie deficit, then you're not going to gain weight from that. You simply can't. You can't create energy and store it from nowhere. You have to take that energy in and store it. So if you are in that calorie deficit, no matter what time you eat your final meal or snack or whatever it is, it's not going to cause you to gain weight. It just simply isn't. We just can't make energy from anywhere. If that was the case, if we could just make energy from anywhere, there wouldn't be people starving in the world. So it's completely false. Our body doesn't hold on to fat. It doesn't go into starvation mode like people think. Sure, things might slow down slightly, but we don't go into starvation mode, and we certainly don't gain weight because of what time we eat. Okay, myth one done. Next one. Eating carbs makes you fat. Very, very similar to the last question, or the answer is going to be very similar, should I say. Carbohydrates are a macronutrient, and they're actually our body's preferred source of energy. So our body would prefer to use carbohydrates in the form of glucose once it's broken down. So the notion that carbs makes you fat, where does this come from? I think it kind of comes from the type of foods which are quite high in carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, the simple form of carbohydrates is sugar. So if we think of things like biscuits and chocolate and cakes, all things around that, they kind of get labelled bad, and there's no truth to it. It is simply them type of foods are not as satiating as things such as protein or fats and fibre, and they are really, really, really easy to overeat. So it's really easy to overeat chocolate, it's really easy to overeat cake, and you're probably not going to be full after either of them two things, which then may lead you to either eating more of that food source or eating extra things just to sort of crave that hunger and the feeling of and wanting to feel full. So I think that's where it comes from. Now, if we think of things like bread, pastas, rice, whatever, all these things are mainly carbohydrates. None of them things are going to make you fat or gain excess fat unless you are over that calorie maintenance level, which pushes you into a calorie surplus, which is then we've got excess energy floating around the body. What do we do with it if we're not using it, i.e. through exercise? We're going to have to store it. And once our muscles and our liver has taken what they need, and our cells in the body have taken what they need, it's going to go into fat cells. And that's when we store body fat. So, again, it's not carbs. Back to the last question, it's not timing. It's that overall calorie amount that you take in each day. Okay, hopefully that clears things up, and you kind of understand where the where carbs gets its bad name from with the types of food that it's in, things that we can overeat. Okay, myth number 3: too much protein causes kidney problems. There's been studies done on this. There is no evidence whatsoever that says higher levels of protein. I think the studies were up to, I think there was over 3 grams per kilogram of body weight, something like that, and even higher than that. And there was no issues with causing kidney problems. Now, the only caveat to this is people that have existing kidney issues would need to seek advice from their GP on this topic. This is not something that I'm qualified in, but if you already have an existing kidney issue, then you need to be wary of your protein intake. So definitely speak to your GP about that. But general population, people that haven't got any issues or existing issues, there is no problems with eating high amounts of protein, and if anything, it's been shown that it helps people adhere to diets a lot more. Obviously, hopefully you understand the importance of protein in the role it plays in repair and growth of muscle, and recovery from exercise sessions. So if anything, it's a good thing to have that a little bit higher especially if you're looking to gain muscle or lose fat, which most people are in one of them 2 categories. Okay, next one. Eggs, and specifically egg yolks, are bad for you. And according to the Daily Mail, you could die. So yeah, this was, I think I covered this on a Q&A. I think someone asked this. But yeah, this was from that newspaper article a couple of weeks ago about, I think it was something about if you eat 1 egg a day, it reduces or increases your mortality rate by whatever. It's a load of rubbish, and studies have been found that show actually no link between eggs and cardiovascular disease, which was thought to be an issue back years ago. I think it might have been in the 80s, if I remember right, from what I read. But yeah, so there's no link at all. Eggs are a really good source of protein, and there's some good fats in there as well. And do not worry about things like eggs and dying. It sounds stupid to say, but really that was a risk according to the Daily Mail, which don't get any of your nutrition information from. Please just avoid any newspapers in that sense. But yeah, eggs are safe to eat, and don't worry about it. It's a load of rubbish. Okay, next one. I've just wrote detoxes in general on this one. And when I say detoxes, I'm thinking what springs to mind is sort of these kind of amazing marketing companies that put out these products which claim to detox your body, and which will get rid of stubborn fat and all the other stupid claims that these companies make just to sell you a product which is basically 9 times out of 10 basically it's a bit of a smoothie blended up veg, like a greens powder, maybe with a little bit of protein added in there, something like that. But their sort of claims is that you have to be on these things for like 7 consecutive days, something like that. You can't eat anything, you only have these types of shakes, and it's a load of rubbish. I mean, who wants to live off just drinks? Nobody wants to live off just drinks. It's a load, unless it's gin. But nobody wants to live off just drinks. how can you live your life like that? And these companies claim that they will help you to lose weight in whatever. Well, of course you're going to lose weight. You try just drinking a couple of drinks a day for a week, you're guaranteed to lose weight. And then what happens on day 8 to day 14? And you start eating again, and the amount of calories you consume in each day goes up. You're going to gain weight again, because there's been no sort of education around these things. It's just drink this, it gives you this, and it's an unhealthy way to lose body fat. It's an unhealthy diet. Even if these shakes and so-called detox shakes are claiming to give you all the right nutrients, etc., it's just no way to live, and it's no way to build your diet on. And also, just the word detox as well. Our body has something amazing that deals with any toxins, and it's called the liver, and it cleans everything. We don't need a detox shake. So if you see anything, I'm not going to name any companies. I mean, this podcast isn't big enough to get sued, but I'm not going to name any companies. But if you see a company that is trying to sell you shakes or some sort of weight loss plan over a really short period of time, and they're claiming to help you lose X amount of weight in a really short period of time, they are just selling you something. And there's a massive chance that you are going to lose weight in that period of time, but it's not sustainable. And save your money and put your time and attention into something that's going to help you in the long run, educate you and understand how you're losing weight and how to lose it. Because the theory around it is not as hard as you think, and you don't need these types of things to make progress. Okay, there's a little rant there. Next one, protein shakes are needed for muscle growth. So this isn't true. This is the way I like to explain protein shakes. I might have mentioned in the past, I'm not sure. Think of it as something like a blended chicken breast. If you think of it that way, it's just another source of protein. And the good thing about protein shakes and why they're so popular is just they're so convenient to have. It's just after a workout or whatever, it's just really easy to just mix it up with water and drink it, and it's done, and you're getting 25-30 grams of protein in there, and and that's doing the job, repairing your muscle to hopefully grow. But the growth part of it, I should say it's repairing your muscle. The growth part of it obviously comes from the stimulus that you're giving it in the gym, and just following certain things such as progressive overload within the gym, basically making it a little bit more challenging for yourself. That's where the muscle growth is coming from. Protein is vital within that process, but not specifically protein shakes. They're just a convenient way of getting that protein within your diet. I should say at this point as well, I'm going to make, someone suggested to me about doing sort of a muscle building sort of series in this podcast. So that's currently being planned. I think I've got 10 episodes already planned. I say planned. I've got the titles of 10 episodes. They need more planning. But I'm going to cover that, because the main thing I talk about on this channel is fat loss. But there's a lot of people as well that sort of, once they've gone through a fat loss phase, they then want to know a little bit more about building muscle and maintaining muscle. So I'm going to cover that in a new series. So look out for that one coming soon. Another one on protein shakes now. Protein shakes make you bulky. This again is not true. They're all not true. It's myths. But protein shakes make you bulky is nonsense. So this one I kind of get quite a lot from ladies I've trained in the past. And that's just down to the way protein shakes used to be marketed. I think it was always aimed at these huge bodybuilders. which the majority of the time, the reason why they're looking like that is nothing to do with protein shakes. It's something else. But yeah, so I think it's the way they were marketed. I think that's changed a lot now. And it's more mainstream between both sexes. But again, it's just another source of protein shakes are a source of protein and a source of calories. So there's no real difference between drinking a protein shake and eating a chicken breast. Now, would you think eating a chicken breast is going to make you bulky? The only thing I would say on this, there are protein shakes which are what we call mass gainers, you might see them called, or loads of crazy names, but basically they're going to be very, very high in calories, mainly a lot of sugar in there to bump the calories up a bit. And if people that struggle to get enough calories in their diet might take these like mass shakes. So just be wary of that. So they're the only things that could potentially make you bulky. And when I say bulky, I mean put on excess weight because of the amount of calories that are in them. But your average protein shake, which just look at the calorie content of, you'll not normally find they're probably between 100 and maybe 200 calories a drink, something like that. Normally on the lower end of that, about 125, I think the current one that I have is. But them average ones, they're not going to things that are going to make you bulky. They're just a source of protein. Okay. I feel very giddy today. I'm rocking about in the chair. So if you're watching on YouTube, I apologise. Final one of this episode. Nutrition myth. Don't skip breakfast. This works both ways around, actually. Don't skip breakfast is one myth, and breakfast is the most important meal of the day is another myth. I'm going to cover both of these in one. So the idea of don't skipping breakfast, this kind of comes from both of these that are loosely true. I'm going to give you sort of pros and cons to each. So don't skip breakfast comes from kind of the idea that if you skip breakfast, you're then more likely to eat more throughout the day because you're going to be starving by the time you get to dinner time. You're going to make poor food choices if you've not prepared your lunch. So you're going to go out and eat this and eat that, which can be true. People can do that. I know I've certainly done that in the past if I've skipped breakfast. I wouldn't say that's the issue of skipping breakfast. That could be down to poor planning with your lunchtime, poor choices made at lunchtime. So it comes down to the individual with that one. If you do better with not having a breakfast and you feel like you can control the rest of your day calorie wise, again, this is if your goal is fat loss, then it's fine to skip breakfast. There's no issues at all there. If your goal is muscle building, you're probably going to be eating, well, you will be eating more calories, depending on the person, more calories than a person that's trying to lose body fat. So you want to try and get in as many calories as possible to hit your calorie goal. So it might be a good idea to have breakfast if that's your goal. And then the flip side. So breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Again, it depends on the individual. For some people, that might be true. For some people, if they eat breakfast, it not only gives them a bit more of an energy boost. It can give you a bit more mental clarity. I know when I skip meals, I tend to get a little bit of brain fog. Again, that could just be me and the individual. So that's why it's so individualised, and it's really hard to say, don't skip breakfast. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day because everybody's so different. So you've really got to try these things out and see what suits you. But yeah, is breakfast the most important meal of the day if your breakfast contains 1,000 calories and then you go on to eat another 2,000 calories with your other 2 meals or 3 meals or whatever you have, and that pushes you in a calorie surplus, yet your goal is fat loss? breakfast then isn't the most important meal of the day, is it? Because it's pushed you over your calorie goal. So I think it depends on the person. It depends on the goal. There's loads of different things, loads of little moving parts to that. But skipping breakfast, or don't skip breakfast is a myth. Okay, so there's probably hundreds of more nutrition myths out there, and this could probably end up being another couple of episodes. So if you thought of something, or someone's told you something and you think, I don't know whether that sounds true, about nutrition, send it in to me, and if we get enough in, then I will do a number 2 to this, a follow-up episode. And I think I'm also going to do fitness or training myths as well, because that'll be a good one, because there's loads of things. This industry is just rife with myths. I don't know whether other industries are like this, but yeah, but it gives me loads of things to talk about, which is good. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode. Thanks if you're watching on YouTube. Give it a like and a subscribe. This is episode 2 that's been on YouTube now. So thanks for watching. If you are just listening to the podcast, thanks as always for listening. As I said last week, it keeps growing. More people are listening, so I really appreciate it. If you think a friend or someone you might know might enjoy this or might learn from it, then please share it with them. The more people that listen, the better. The more people that sort of I can educate and get better at sort of, or get closer to achieving their goals. So that's all from me, and I will see you in the next episode for a Q&A, which is episode 13. And have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.